Hey everyone, I'm back. Now I'm going to be discussing episode 2 of The Traitors. So let's get into it. Okay, we find out that Ian is murdered. So sad. I liked him on Big Brother. I thought he was going to have an underdog persona here. I didn't think that he was going to get murdered, but also at the beginning, I can't remember who it was, but a couple people had mentioned that he won Big Brother. It's really interesting on how some of these players from Big Brother are coming back, or even Survivor, that maybe haven't been on, besides Carolyn, I think, and maybe Jam Jam, but some of the older players from like years ago are coming back and they're just like automatically a target. I feel like now with gamers going forward, if they aren't a traitor, they're out of here, basically. And it's going to be a rough road ahead, I think, for the gamers going forward in future seasons. However, they did show in a commercial that next season they're going to do a civilian season, so there's going to be no reality show stars. So that would be kind of cool, because I think us in the US, compared to all the other countries, I think we're the only ones who does a like celebrity season. So it'll be interesting to see what civilian, like a full season of civilians is going to be, because then that means those people will actually care about the money, because they'll be wanting to use it in real life, versus all these other celebrities. They make a lot of money, way more money than the actual pot. Maybe the gamers probably don't make as much money because they're playing the games and only one person can win at the end of the day. So I can see them, the gamers specifically, being more invested than the people who aren't gamers due to the money aspect and what everyone else does for a living. Okay, so back to the episode. So we're shown that Portia slips up quite a bit. And I noticed this too, or they obviously showed it to us as the audience. And so I wrote down who was in that room. So in the room when Portia slips up is Dorinda, Ron, Tara, Kristen, and then Donna comes in and Michael comes in afterwards. So there are at least 5 people that are aware of Portia slipping up if they are as observant as Ron is, and Donna, obviously, and then Michael even noticed it. So those 3 obviously noticed it, and Tara and Dorinda were also in the room. So Lord knows if they were actually paid attention. But everyone is like catching on to Donna and talking about how she doesn't really talk game, but then they showed clips of her like either one-on-one or with 2 or 3 other people talking game, as well as her talking game in the confessionals. Yes, I know they don't see confessionals, but us as viewers, we kind of see her talking game. So I don't know why everyone keeps saying, oh, she doesn't really talk game, she doesn't really talk game. I'm like, have you like really asked her to, or are you just like observing? It's not like everyone else is talking game either. We're only being shown certain people. You know, Johnny and Tara barely even talk right now. So I don't know if it's just she's an outlier, no different than a few of the other people. Ian probably was also an outlier and he got murdered. I don't know exactly what the picking is on Donna besides her popularity is probably the only thing I can think of. And obviously it's production stream probably to have her as a traitor. But I just don't know if the evidence or reason why people are just like, oh, she doesn't talk game. I'm like, you barely have time to talk game in this game. So like, cool your jets, people. Okay, so on to the challenge. This is the challenge where they had to carry the chariots. And I honestly did not mind people being selfish about the tokens, because this is a game after all. It was nice to see the guys give it to the women, which kind of makes sense until the end, because I can't remember who brought it up. Which player brought it up where it doesn't matter if you go first, someone else is going to find a token and going to take your place anyway. So you would probably want the token at the very last stop so that you are going to be safe from murder. So whoever said that was actually pretty smart. I mean, I probably would have did the same thing. I would care less about going first. I was like, I want the very last end of the deal in order to get safety. So I don't think there's anything wrong with people being selfish. Like, that's the whole point. Like, you're all here to play for yourself. It's really refreshing, too, to see everyone working together, because I feel like the last couple seasons, it was ruthless out there. Like, people were looking for those shields, which I don't even think they had a shield in this one. They just had these tokens. I don't think it really had any shields yet. Unless those tokens were considered shields at the end of the day. But it's just really refreshing to see this group actually, like, working together to get the money for the pot. And there hasn't been too much crazy, like, arguments when it comes to certain things. So I feel like that's really refreshing and nice. So onto the round table. So at the round table, Ron decides to bring up the multiple slips that Portia had. Now, everything that Ron said was true. And the fact that only Donna and Michael spoke up at the round table, it's like, why didn't Dorinda, why didn't Tara, or why didn't Kristen talk at the round table? It's like, if something is true and you saw it happen, and normally truth prevails, why aren't you confirming that at the round table? That would be something where you could help your fellow faithos out and being like, yeah, she did say that. And if you got it wrong, then you got it wrong, which is what happened. But I'm like, everything he said was true, especially for people who were in the room. And she just happened, I don't know her from her respective show. So I don't know if she normally stutters or trips over her words or whatever, but it's just like a valid argument if you say, like, we killed Ian or we did this, and it's like they weren't in competition for there to be a we. You don't know, especially if you don't really know the person outside of the show. You just kind of have to go off of, like, what people say and what people do. So I feel like, I mean, I get what Ron did. You know, that's another moment similar to what Rob had in terms of showing trust. It's like Ron is showing trust, but then people are thinking he's a traitor. So it's like, no matter what you do, even if you try to stay quiet, it's like you're still accused of being a traitor as well. So I feel like there's just no win-win situation. It's just a lose-lose situation. So it'll be interesting with the trust aspect. It's like, well, I hope they trust me, but now it's like they think I'm a traitor just for bringing up something truthful. Because a traitor would probably, well, if you're a smart traitor, you probably would pick and choose the battles in which you speak. But a lot of the times, traitors will probably say something like that to throw it off or know that they are being protected. So it's like, well, let's just throw something out there. But Ron doesn't really seem like a traitor anyway. So, I don't know. It just was surprising to me that other people weren't speaking up at the round table regarding that same thing. So, yeah, that sucks for Ron, because I like Ron. And it's like he was just trying to do it because he is an outsider to show the people that he could be trustworthy and to help catch a traitor, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Okay, on to my favorite part of the episode, Murder in Plain Sight. This was actually one of my favorites from season 2, and I absolutely loved this one as well. I love when the traitors get tasks and they have to go do something, and Murder in Plain Sight is probably my favorite. So when they got the task, I was thinking in my head, like, how in the world are they going to do this? Because a lot of the people are in the room, and it wasn't like season 2 where they just needed to grab something and have someone drink it. Like, that one just seems more casual because it's in the flow of people. Whereas this one, you literally have to, pull the picture behind the wall, grab the stack, read the stack, then you have to go into another room and just throw something in the fire, which probably seems, well, doesn't really seem normal because you normally don't get anything behind a frame at a wall. But you would think, I was just like, they're not gonna get this done. I don't know how they're gonna get it done when almost half the people are in the same room. But they did it. I thought the conga, I was with Rob C, that is so aggressive, and it was so apparent that it was kind of like a setup. And I was kind of cringing. I was trying to get secondhand embarrassment because I'm like, oh my gosh, they're going to get caught. They're going to get caught, or they're going to assume that Candace is a traitor. And it just sucked that Candace had to be in the room when Rob said that to the two people about, I think there's going to be a murder in plain sight tonight. And it was just interesting because Candace didn't know that Rob and Lisa had already talked and planned it out, which, by the way, was so ingenious. Rob grabbing Lisa, or they were standing near each other and be like, hey, you want to play chess? Like, I absolutely love that part. I was worried about Tara because Tara was right there. And I thought maybe in that moment she could be a secret traitor because she saw what was happening. But then she just kind of like turned away and there was no confessional being shown. There was nothing. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe that's not like a big thing. But I just loved the way that Rob is playing right now is how I pictured Parvati and Dan to play in season 2. Just like picking small moments like that, which Dan and Parvati did have a couple of scenes where they did talk strategy. But when it came to the action part, like what Rob is doing strategically is kind of how I pictured Dan and Parvati to do in season 2, knowing their background in both of their respective game shows. But this game is just much faster pace, where they're used to probably a little bit slower pace game to get more like moves across in a longer span of time. So I just thought, I was just like, I'm excited to see how much Rob does because I think he's just doing the best job because he's also protecting his 2 other teammates. But the other two other teammates are also doing things too. And so I think Rob's doing a good job of observing and then knowing when to take the lead and when not to take the lead. And he took the lead in this. But like Candace also did the conga line, and the fact that like Rob caught on to that and then pulled away at the end. He's like, yeah, I'm not doing this. And so like it's just really cool on how the 3 of them are working together. And I honestly like love it. I love it so much. Like I love that whole chess sequence. It was so good. And he's so funny. Rob is so funny. Like I get a crack out of him. He's so funny. And sometimes when he talks in the confessionals, he gives me like Josh Hartnett vibes from like 20 years ago. Just with like this like cadence of his voice sometimes where he's like kind of serious and like doesn't show certain emotions. And so he kind of gives me like Josh Hartnett vibes from like the days from like 40 Days and 40 Nights or something. Whatever that movie's called. But he just gives me a young Josh Hartnett vibe. And it was great. I'm just loving how he's playing. And so I think that episode ended up on a cliffhanger and they ended up putting one of the cards in the fire. That's it for my review on episode 2. Stay tuned for episode 3.